Revealed, I discovered my wife's hidden plan B, swapped it with vitamins for an amazing awakening. Michael had noticed the vitamin bottles piled up in the medicine cabinet, but on that ordinary Sunday afternoon, something caught his eye: a dusty notebook wedged between the jars. As he opened it, the pages unfolded like a map to his wife, Sarah's heart. Words swirled like a whirlwind of dreams. Holistic business plan, the title proclaimed, and his heart raced. What had been a lazy Sunday became an awakening, shaking the very foundation of their seemingly stable life. Sarah had always been a dreamer, but in the lull of daily routines, he never realized how tightly her dreams were tucked away. Each page dripped with her aspirations, ideas for natural remedies, wellness products, a path to healing others that she had envisioned while they sweated together under the weight of bills and responsibilities. His chest tightened as he felt the weight of her unspoken desires. Michael? Sarah stepped into the room, her approach muffled by the pounding in his ears. When she saw the notebook, her expression shifted. It was both fear and the flicker of hope. "You weren't supposed to find that," she murmured, her voice trembling, as if the ground beneath them might shake. "I didn't know. Is this really what you want?" he asked, unsure whether to feel upset or amazed. "Why didn't you tell me?" "It felt silly, like a fantasy," she replied, her eyes glistening. "What if it fails? What if I can't support our family?" And there it was, the clash between duty and ambition. The weight of their bills felt heavier, the creaks of their old house seemed to echo their fears. But in that moment, something intense sparked between them, a desperate bond that was both loving and heavy with societal pressure. "Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen." Now let's continue. Motivated by their heart-wrenching exchange, Michael felt a fire ignite within him. He couldn't stand the idea of Sarah sacrificing her dreams. The next day, he knocked on doors around their small town, rallying the community. "Let us support Sarah," he urged their friends and neighbors, "let us help her turn her dream into reality." The response was overwhelming. DIY workshops filled with laughter and creativity sprung up across the community. As Sarah's passion ignited, the town echoed with a sense of shared hope. Yet, just as they began to taste success, Sarah received an offer, a chance to step out on her own. It promised independence but wavered the security he had clung to all along. Caught in an emotional storm, Michael's heart shattered, teetering between pride for her ambition and fear of losing the life they built. As the stakes rose, they stood at a precipice, their dreams hanging in the balance. Would love prevail, or would they be consumed by the very pressures they sought to escape? With the air thick with conflict and uncertainty, one question loomed: can a marriage truly survive the battle between security and passion? The morning light crept into their home, casting shadows on the walls where dreams and doubts seemed to mingle. Michael sat at the kitchen table, the weight of the last few days pressing down on him. Sarah's offer loomed over their family like a storm cloud, blurring the lines between hope and fear. He stirred his coffee absent-mindedly, lost in thought, when the sudden chirp of his phone broke through the tension. That it was a message from Sarah. "Can we talk tonight? I've been thinking." Just 3 words set off a whirlwind inside him. That evening, with the fading sun signaling the end of another day, Michael found himself pacing the living room. What would she say? Would she choose the offer? His heart raced as he envisioned Sarah's hopeful face, radiating the excitement of a budding entrepreneur. Yet, the nagging thought of their family's stability clung to him like a shadow. When Sarah finally walked through the door, the air prickled with anticipation. She looked tired but determined, her eyes sparkling with an intensity he hadn't seen before. She set her bag down and gestured toward the couch. "Can we sit?" "Sure," he replied, his voice barely above a whisper. I've thought a lot about this, she started, fidgeting with her hands. About us and this opportunity. It's something I've dreamed of for years, but I also know what it means for our family. For you. Michael nodded, a lump forming in his throat. He wanted to encourage her, to be that supportive husband she needed, but the fear of the unknown was overwhelming. What do you want, Sarah? She paused, her gaze piercing his, and suddenly, it felt like they were the only two people in the world. I want to fly, Michael. I don't want to just exist anymore. I want to create something meaningful. There was a quiver in her voice, raw and vulnerable. This could be my shot. But I'm terrified of risking everything. He took a deep breath, trying to ground himself. I get that, he said softly. I really do. But what if this doesn't work out? What happens to us? She leaned closer, her voice quivering. But what if it does? What if this is the best thing for all of us? That question hung in the air, an echo of both hope and fear. Suddenly, beneath the worry, something bright flickered within Michael. He realized that his dream had always been to see Sarah overcome her fears, to chase her own happiness. But at what cost? I want to support you, even if it scares me, he confessed, pouring his heart into the words. But I need to know we'll face this together. No matter what happens. Sarah's eyes glistened with tears. I promise we will. I want to include you in this. We're a team, remember? The warmth between them was palpable, stitching cracks in their relationship. Yet even as they shared this connection, doubt gnawed at Michael. What if one decision changed everything? That night, as they lay in bed, Michael couldn't shake the feeling that they were on the edge of a cliff, ready to leap into the unknown. But with each passing moment, he felt a little more willing to take the plunge together. Little did they know that just outside their bubble, life had a plan of its own. A knock at the door that could shatter everything awaited them in the shadows, and it was nothing compared to the revelations they were yet to face. Would their newfound understanding be enough to weather the storm headed their way? The next morning dawned with an uneasy silence, the weight of the previous night hanging between Michael and Sarah like a thick fog. Michael watched as she moved about the kitchen, fixing breakfast with an absent rhythm. The sizzle of eggs filled the air, but it was the knock at the door that made his heart skip. Who could that be? Sarah asked, wiping her hands on a dish towel, her brow faintly creasing with uncertainty. I don't know, Michael replied, glancing towards the door, his stomach tightening. Maybe it's just the neighbor. But as he moved to answer the door, he felt a growing sense of dread. The moment he opened it, his breath caught. Standing on the porch was a figure he hadn't expected. What are you doing here? Michael managed, struggling to mask his surprise. Michael, the visitor's voice, low and urgent, immediately sent an uncomfortable chill down his spine. I need to talk to you. It's about Sarah. Panic surged through him. About Sarah? What could you possibly want to say about her? Please. Can I come in? Michael hesitated, scanning the street for any prying eyes before stepping aside. The unexpected guest entered, not waiting for an invitation. Sarah, sensing the shift in the atmosphere, turned and immediately centered her gaze on the stranger, confusion evident in her expression. Who is this? She asked, her voice sharper than she intended. That's what I'm trying to figure out, Michael said, attempting to maintain control. What is going on? The visitor glanced at Sarah, then back to Michael. I know what Sarah's planning, they whispered, almost reverently, as though afraid the walls would listen. The room fell silent. Sarah's face transformed from confusion to defensiveness. What are you talking about? She demanded, each word laced with tension. I don't know you. Just hear me out, the stranger insisted, unwavering. I've followed your wife's progress, her ideas, her plans. What you think is just a dream, it's much bigger than that. What do you mean? Michael pressed, though he felt the gnawing terror in his gut deepening. There's a reason she hasn't mentioned everything to you, they replied, and then lowered their voice. A hidden project. She's planning to launch something extraordinary. Something that could change everything for your family. Extraordinary? Michael felt a wave of confusion wash over him. Why wasn't I told? Because she's afraid, the stranger said. Afraid of what you might think. Afraid of what you might feel about her chasing this opportunity. Sarah's eyes flashed with anger and hurt. I didn't want to burden you with every detail. She exclaimed. Some decisions are mine to make. I wanted this to be a surprise. A surprise or a secret? Michael shot back, his tone rising in frustration. The tension thickened, and for a moment the air was heavy with unspoken truths. No one spoke, but words hung in the air, fragile yet suffocating. Listen, the visitor interrupted, trying to break through the brewing storm. I'm not your enemy. I'm here to help. But you need to understand that time is running out. She needs support, and it's up to you both to decide if you're in this together or not. Michael's world felt like it was tipping off its axis. He glanced at Sarah, who was silently fuming, then back to the stranger. None of the answers seemed right, yet each was a shard of reality he couldn't ignore. Maybe we need to talk, he finally said, his heart hammering in his chest. As the pieces began to shift around them, Michael sensed the impending storm growing closer. Could they navigate this new landscape together, or would this revelation put more distance between them? What other secrets did Sarah hold close to her heart? And how would they face the consequences of choices made in shadows of doubt? The silence that followed felt like a tiny eternity. Michael's heart thudded against his chest as he absorbed the weight of the visitor's words. The tension bore down on him, thick and suffocating, as he exchanged a look with Sarah that spoke volumes. Her expression cut him deeply, hurt mixed with disbelief, anger eclipsing her usual warmth. Can we just take a step back? Michael said, hands raised slightly, as if trying to stave off an attack. What exactly do you think you know about Sarah's plans? The stranger took a breath. I've seen the proposals, the sketches. I know she has been working on something innovative. It's not just a project, it's a movement. A movement? Sarah echoed, disbelief dripping from her words. What are you talking about? I haven't worked on anything like that. The visitor nodded. You think it's just an idea, but it can be so much more. You're on the verge of something great, and you need to embrace it before it slips away. Michael felt the weight of confusion drag him down. What was this about? The secret Sarah was hiding felt deeper than just an undisclosed project. Why didn't you just tell me, Sarah? He asked, almost pleading. I didn't want to burden you. She shot back. You work so hard, and I didn't want to stress you out with every little detail. I thought if I could get it together first, that it would be a surprise. Surprises that could change your life aren't something you keep to yourself. Michael replied, frustration rising like a tide. Sarah clenched her fists, her breath sharp. Oh, so you think just because you didn't see my work, it doesn't exist? I've been working nights, planning, and trying to make something meaningful for us and maybe for everyone. You think I'm just hiding things? Michael's mind raced. No, I just then stop reacting out of fear and listen. She said, her voice rising, echoing against the kitchen walls. The stranger watched them with an intensity that felt almost intrusive. This isn't what I wanted. I came here to help open a line of communication, not to create division. Then why now? Michael asked, his anger simmering. Why can't you just let her tell me in her own time? Time is exactly what she doesn't have, the stranger interjected, their voice steady. Opportunities wait for no one. The world outside is changing, and it's about to move forward with or without us. Your family's future hangs in the balance. Just then, Michael's phone buzzed violently on the table, jarring him from the charged atmosphere. It was a message from his boss, urgent. He glanced at Sarah. This isn't just about your plans anymore, is it? It's about us, all the decisions we've made, and now potential actions we might need to take. Sarah's eyes brightened with understanding but danced with hurt. She stepped closer, her voice softening. I just wanted to make something of myself without dragging you down into the unknown. Maybe we need to talk about our fears too. Michael nodded, his heart feeling lighter. Let us figure this out not as individuals but as a team. We owe it to ourselves to share everything, right? Her eyes began to glisten, and for a moment, the storm became quiet as they realized they stood at a crossroads, together. Together, she whispered, determination filling her voice. But just then, another knock echoed from the front door, shattering the moment. Michael exchanged a worried glance with Sarah, their hearts entwined in uncertainty. What would they find waiting on the other side? The knock sounded again, louder this time, demanding attention. Michael hesitated, an unsettling feeling growing in his gut. Who could it be? The stranger stood still, watching them with keen eyes, as if the unknown visitor held answers to questions they hadn't yet asked. Should I open it? Michael murmured, glancing at Sarah. Her expression was a mix of curiosity and fear, the unresolved tension from their earlier conversation still hanging heavy in the kitchen air. Maybe, she whispered, her voice a fragile thread. But what if it's more bad news? Michael nodded, his heart racing, and he approached the door. He reached for the handle, feeling the cool metal beneath his fingers. He hesitated for just a heartbeat before swinging the door wide open. Standing there was a man, tall and imposing, dressed in a dark suit. A briefcase hung loosely at his side, and he looked as though he stepped right out of a corporate boardroom. The new arrival's piercing gaze swept over Michael, then shot to Sarah, where it lingered momentarily before he spoke. Sarah Palmer? He asked, his voice clear and authoritative. Yes, that's me, Sarah replied, stepping forward instinctively. Can I help you? Michael's protective instincts flared. Who are you? He demanded, eyes narrowing. The stranger's combination of certainty and urgency sent alarm bells ringing in his head. The man hesitated, but the urgency in his demeanor pushed him forward. My name is Jack Meyer. I'm here about your project. What project? Michael's suspicion tightened his muscles as he shot a glance back at Sarah, who looked just as confused as he felt. What do you mean, my wife's project? Jack placed his briefcase on the porch and opened it carefully, exposing sheets of papers and colorful graphs. You need to see this, he said, pulling out a proposal that encapsulated everything Sarah had kept hidden. This isn't just a collection of ideas, Sarah. It's a vision, one that has the potential to change lives. But it needs your commitment. Michael stepped closer, the warmth of his body making Sarah lean into him slightly. What does that mean? Changing lives? Funding is available, Jack continued, his tone firm and confident. Investors are interested, but they need a leader. They need you, Sarah. You're the face of this movement, but time is running out. Sarah's eyes darted from the paper back to Michael, uncertainty clouding her features. I didn't plan for any of this. I thought I was just dreaming. Dreaming? You're on the brink of a reality, Jack pressed, unfazed by her hesitation. But unless you act quickly, it will all fade away. You have a limited window of opportunity. Then why did you come to us now? Michael asked, tension again brimming in his voice. Why not earlier? I was told not to speak before you were ready. But I can see that you're both at a crucial point. This needs to be addressed now, or it might slip through your fingers. Suddenly, the air grew thick with possibility and doubt. The proposal lay there, inked and waiting, a ticket to an unpredictable future. Michael felt the weight of Sarah's decisions resting on his shoulders, and for a heartbeat, he could almost feel the pulse of the world outside quickening, demanding something of them. Sarah's voice broke through the silence, quiet yet determined. I need to think. Michael, can we talk? Of course, he said, glancing at Jack, whose patience was waning. But before they could move away, Jack interjected, "Just remember, if you hesitate, the chance could vanish, leaving you asking what if." As he packed up his briefcase, Michael's heart raced with an overwhelming mixture of fear and hope. Could this truly change everything? Would it bring them closer or tear them apart? The door creaked as Jack pushed it open wider, stepping back into the world outside. Michael felt a chill run down his spine. As he looked at Sarah, her face was a reflection of his own turmoil, frightened, yet on the cusp of something more. Together, he whispered again, needing her to believe it too, but just as they stepped back toward the kitchen, the door slammed. In a sudden wind, sending a shudder through the air. Something had shifted beneath their feet, and they could feel it. "What do we do now?" Sarah's voice trembled, uncertainty coloring her words. As the weight of decisions loomed overhead, Michael searched for the right answer, one that could lead them down a path of both fear and possibility. Would they take the leap, or retreat back into safety? In the silence that followed, the answer felt just out of reach. Michael felt the weight of Sarah's gaze, heavy and expectant. He could almost hear her heart racing, dancing in rhythm with his own. In that tense silence, they were both lost in a whirlwind of emotions, swirling between fear and curiosity. "What if we just let it go?" Sarah suggested, almost as if she were testing the waters. "Maybe it's not meant to be." The word stung. Michael knew what she meant. They could slip back into their routine, safe and predictable. But the urge to break free from the monotony tugged at him, clawing at the edges of their comfort zone. "But what if this is what we've been waiting for? What if this is our chance?" Her brows knitted together, uncertainty still shadowing her features. "What if it changes everything for the worse?" He took her hands in his, feeling the coolness of her skin. "Or what if it's everything we've dreamt of? Don't you want to find out?" Sarah pulled away slightly, her eyes darting to the open door, where the chilling breeze whispered potential and danger. "It just feels so big. What if I fail? Failure shouldn't scare you." His voice was firm but tender. "What scares me is you not trying." The intensity in his gaze made her pause. They were standing at the intersection of change. Without breaking the connection, Michael turned, glancing over at the proposal still waiting on the counter. The colorful graphs, detailed plans, they painted a picture of the future, but it wasn't just about the project. It was about Sarah stepping into her light. "Look, you can take the first step, and I'll be beside you, every step of the way," he promised. "You've always wanted this, right? Don't let fear hold you down. If Jack believes in your vision so strongly, maybe you should believe in it too." Slowly, Sarah nodded, and he could see the flicker of determination start to ignite behind her eyes. "You're right," she whispered, a spark of resolve in her voice that made his heart leap. Just then, a loud crash jolted them back to reality. A tree branch whipped against the window, rattling the glass and sending a shiver down their spines. The world outside, with its relentless winds, seemed to mirror the chaos of their thoughts. "Okay, we need to decide," Michael said, tapping into the adrenaline that surged through him. "Do we let this chance fly away? Or do we grab onto it and fight for what could be?" Sarah took a deep breath, filling her lungs with determination. "Let us not waste any more time. I want to see the proposal." As they approached the counter, Michael felt a rush of excitement course through him. It was time to face the unknown head-on. They were on the brink of something monumental, and this was just the beginning. But then, before they could dive deeper into the papers, the lights flickered overhead. Darkness crept through the house, swallowing the familiar sanctuary whole. "Not now," Michael whispered under his breath, panic creeping in. Shadows loomed, twisting their surroundings into something unfamiliar. "What is happening?" Sarah's voice trembled, her earlier resolve flickering like the lights. "I don't know." He reached for her hand again, squeezing it tight. "Just hold on. We'll figure it out." The darkness enveloped them, warm yet suffocating. With nothing but the faint sound of their own breathing, they were left teetering on the edge of destiny. And as the lights flickered one last time before plunging them into complete darkness, dread formed a knot in Michael's stomach. Had they waited too long? What if this is the last chance we have? Sarah's voice cut through the shadows, filled with uncertainty. As the darkness settled, Michael realized that everything was about to change. But was it for better or worse? In the chaos of that moment, a new plan began to take shape, one that could either bind them together or pull them apart completely. What lay ahead was a mystery he didn't yet understand, but one thing was sure: after tonight, nothing would ever feel the same again. "Sarah," he started, but their conversation was interrupted by a loud crash outside. What was that? Panic gripped them both, the unknown sucking them into its chilling embrace. Michael didn't have the answer, but something told him the night was far from over. The howling wind outside seemed to echo their growing anxiety. Michael squeezed Sarah's hand tighter, feeling her pulse quicken beneath his fingertips. The shadows in the room shifted as the gusts rattled the house, the atmosphere charged with an electricity that made his skin crawl. What if that was a sign? Sarah asked, breaking the silence. Her voice was barely above a whisper, trembling with uncertainty. "Maybe we should just turn back." Michael felt a surge of urgency. "No, we can't do that," he insisted, his voice steady. "This isn't just about the proposal. It's about you stepping into something you've always wanted. Don't you feel that pull?" In the darkness, he could sense her uncertainty wrestling with a flicker of hope. "I know, but what if everything goes wrong? Then we figure it out together. We face it together," he repeated, trying to instill courage in her. "Remember that spark you felt earlier? Don't let fear snuff it out." There was a pause, and for a moment, the world outside felt distant, a mere backdrop to the tempest raging inside them. It felt monumental, as if they were standing on the precipice of their lives. Just then, the lights flickered back to life, illuminating their surroundings like a spotlight on the stage of their unfolding story. The sudden brightness revealed the counter, covered in papers, a tangled web of ambition and dreams. Among the charts and notes, there was a sharp, forward glimpse of what could be. "Let us look at it," Michael urged, his heart pounding with a mix of excitement and fear. He pulled Sarah gently towards the counter, where the proposal sat, waiting like a dormant seed eager for sunlight. As they began to sift through the documents, the bold figures and colorful graphs painted possibilities in vivid strokes. Michael could see the flames of ambition flickering to life within her once more. "See? This is everything you envisioned." Sarah sighed, glancing at him, her expression mixed with awe and hesitation. "But what if I can't live up to it?" Michael smiled softly, brushing a few stray hairs behind her ear. "You've lived up to it every day. This is just one more step that could unleash so much more in you." Just then, the unmistakable sound of footsteps echoed from the kitchen, pulling both their attention like a deer caught in headlights. Anxiety filled the room again, wrapping around them like fog. "Is someone else here?" Sarah's voice was barely a murmur, filled with dread. "I don't know." Michael's heart raced. Had they truly been alone so far? Or was this the universe pulling them deeper into unknown territory? They exchanged a knowing look, and without another word, they tiptoed towards the source of the sound. Each creaking floorboard under their feet seemed amplified in the stillness. As they peeked around the corner, Michael's breath caught in his throat. There, in the dim light of the kitchen, stood someone he never expected to see. "Jack!" he exclaimed, a mix of relief and confusion flooding through him. Jack turned, a sly smile forming on his lips. "I thought you two would be here. There's something we need to discuss." Sarah stiffened beside him, disbelief etched across her features. "What are you doing here?" As Jack stepped closer, the air around them thickened with tension. Michael realized this was not just a casual encounter. Jack's presence was the catalyst for something dramatically different. What if he knows about the proposal? Sarah's anxious whisper hung in the air, laced with worry. Michael's mind raced. The night had shifted again, twisting their plans in unexpected ways. This was no longer just a decision about a proposal, it was about facing everything that came with it, and as they stood there, caught between fear and possibility, Michael understood one thing: if they were to embrace what lay ahead, they would need to confront Jack and whatever revelations he held. "Sarah," he said softly, looking directly into her eyes, "are we ready for this?" With the weight of the night pressing in on them, they both knew one thing for certain. The true test was just beginning. The air hung thick with uncertainty as Michael stared into Jack's eyes, trying to decipher his intentions. Jack was always the one with the upper hand, the smooth talker, the guy with a plan. What could he want now? "Just came to see how things were going," Jack said, the casual tone of his voice clashing with the gravity of the moment. Michael could see the slight shift in Jack's stance, a confident facade masking something deeper, something that screamed urgency. "Going well," Michael replied, his voice steady despite the unease clawing at his throat. "What brings you here, really?" Sarah's grip tightened around Michael's hand, her apprehension palpable. It was clear she felt the same inner turmoil. "Why now? Why here?" Jack's smile faded slightly, his eyes narrowing as if he weighed his words carefully. "I have something you need to know. Something that might change everything." The room felt charged as Michael's heart drummed a frantic beat. He glanced at Sarah. Her brows knitted together in concern, but beneath that, Michael could see her determination flickering like a candle in the wind. They couldn't back down now. "What is it, Jack?" Michael pressed. A playful smirk returned to Jack's face. "You two are about to dive into some serious waters, and I want to make sure you don't sink." "Enough with the games, Jack," Sarah said, her voice stronger now, stepping slightly in front of Michael. "Just tell us what you know." Jack hesitated, gauging their reactions as if savoring the moment. "I know about the proposal," he said plainly, watching their faces twist with alarm. "And I know it's a big deal. But there are complications." "What complications?" Michael felt the adrenaline surge. "Spit it out." Jack took a breath, glancing around the room as if the shadows themselves were listening. "There's a competitor who has been on your tail. They've got something brewing that could destroy everything you've worked for, Sarah. You need to be ready." The revelation hit like a punch to the gut. Sarah's breath caught, and Michael felt the weight of the world shift. "Who?" he asked, though part of him already feared the answer. "A former colleague of yours. I won't say their name now, but trust me, they're more ruthless than you know." Jack's voice was grave, devoid of its earlier playfulness. "They'll stop at nothing to see you fail, and they know your weaknesses." Sarah turned pale, the color draining from her face. "You're kidding, right? Why didn't you come to us sooner?" "Because I just found out," Jack said, his tone steadier now. "But I thought it best to warn you in person. If you're getting serious about this, you need to fortify yourself. It's dog eat dog out there." A tidal wave of emotions crashed over Sarah. Fear mixed with determination. Michael could see the knot in her stomach tightening. "So, what do we do?" Jack's eyes sparkled with something, an emotion Michael couldn't quite place. "You fight. You don't let fear dictate your next move. But you also anticipate, strategize, and most importantly, you trust each other." Silence enveloped them. What Jack said made sense, but a darkness loomed over their heads. Sarah needed support now more than ever. Sarah's voice was barely a whisper. "What if everything I've worked for isn't enough?" "Then we make it enough," he replied fervently, squeezing her hand tighter. "Together." Jack nodded, the slick smile on his lips fading again. "This is just the start, but remember, diving into the deep end means you might get swept under. Stay close, stay smart." Michael turned to Sarah, their shared thoughts swirling around them: hope, fear, ambition, determination. They stood on the edge of something monumental, but what they faced next could change everything. "Are we ready for this?" Michael asked, the question echoing in the charged air between them. "We're about to find out," Sarah replied with resolve, their eyes locking in a fierce understanding. Together, they took a breath, bracing themselves for whatever storm would break next. And as Jack turned to leave, the wind outside howled more fiercely than before. As if warning them to hold on tight, but what awaited them at dawn could potentially rewrite their future if they survived the battles ahead. The sun had barely breached the horizon, casting a muted glow across the kitchen table where Michael and Sarah sat. The coffee pot gurgled as they shared the silence, each lost in their swirling thoughts. Fear gnawed at the edges of Michael's mind, while Sarah's determined expression spoke volumes about the inner battle she faced. "What's our first step?" she said finally, her words slicing through the quiet. Michael reached out, instinctively brushing his fingers against hers. "We need to gather intel, find out what we're up against." The challenge gnawed at him, a mix of excitement and dread. They had faced struggles before, but this felt different, more personal. "Can we trust Jack?" Sarah's question hung heavy in the air, the tension palpable. Michael considered the man who had always been the consummate manipulator. "I think we can. He may be a smooth talker, but he also knows how to play the game." "Or he could have his own agenda," Sarah replied, her brow furrowed as she chewed on her lip. "True, but right now, he's our best shot at staying ahead." Michael pressed a kiss on her forehead, attempting to infuse a sense of calm into her. As Sarah closed her eyes for a moment, he could feel the weight of their world pressing down on them both. "First things first," she said as she opened her eyes. "I should contact our network. If anyone knows about this competitor, it's them." The resolute tone in her voice ignited a flicker of hope in Michael's heart. He nodded in agreement. "Let us do it. And I'll reach out to some old contacts, see what I can pull together." As Sarah moved to grab her phone, the sharp ringtone sliced through the air, causing both of them to tense. She glanced at the screen, her shoulders slumping slightly. "It's my dad." Michael instinctively straightened, every instinct telling him to shield her from any additional stress. "Do you want me to take care of it?" "No," she said, her voice steadier than her internal fear. "He deserves to know. We'll explain everything." With a deep breath, she answered the call. Michael watched her as she spoke, her expression revealing a mix of frustration, guilt, and resilience. She always had a way of handling tough situations with grace and strength. Once the call ended, Sarah turned to Michael, her expression slightly softer but still shaken. "He wants to meet. He thinks I'm pushing myself too hard." "Are you?" "I'm trying to handle everything but I'm scared, Michael." "What if I can't?" "Hey," he said, placing his hands on her shoulders, grounding her. "You're not alone in this. We'll face it together. Remember what Jack said. We fight." Just then, a text alert chimed on Sarah's phone. She glanced down, her eyes widening as she read the message. "It's from my colleague. They found something. A meeting is set up with the competitor tonight." "Tonight?" The urgency rushed back in, adrenaline flooding Michael's veins. "Do you think it's a trap?" "Maybe," she said, an anxious fidget creeping back into her hands. "But it's also a chance. We can't waste it." The decision loomed ahead, like an ominous storm on the horizon. Michael took a deep breath, weighing the risks. "Okay. Let us play it smart. We'll go, gather intel, and leave. No taking unnecessary risks." Sarah nodded, determination in her gaze. "And if it's too dangerous, we walk away." As they prepared to leave, Michael felt the familiar surge of hope battling against fear. They were stepping into the unknown, but what lay ahead could be the turning point they desperately sought. Before they could step out the door, a familiar figure loomed in the corner. Jack, appearing from nowhere, his face strained yet eager. "I can help," he said, raising his hands in defense. "Trust me, this isn't just business. I want to help you both." Michael turned to Sarah, feeling the indecision between them. Was Jack an ally, or just another layer of complication? "Are you really on our side, Jack?" he asked, his voice low. Jack's eyes shimmered with urgency. You need to know everything for Sarah and for what's coming next. Trust me on this. Michael's heart raced as profound uncertainty gripped him. They were standing on the edge of a cliff, and below, the waters churned, waiting to crash over them. Do we trust him? Sarah murmured, looking at Michael with a mix of fear and hope. That single question echoed through him, morphing into a weighty decision. What they chose next could alter everything. Let us find out, Michael finally said, determination sweeping through him. Whatever lay ahead, they would face it together through every storm that threatened to tear them apart. And as Jack stepped closer, a sense of impending chaos settled over them like dark clouds gathering above. What was coming next would force them to confront the darkest parts of their past and perhaps their greatest fears. But one thing was certain, they would have to either fight hard or risk losing it all. Are you ready for what's next? Jack asked, breaking the tense silence. The question hung in the air, shimmering like a fragile thread. Would they be able to withstand whatever storm was brewing? Or would this be the moment that changed everything? As the tension in the room swelled, Sarah took a deep breath, her resolve crystal clear. Yes, Jack. We're ready. But know this: we will protect our dreams. Michael felt a flicker of pride as he watched her, the vibrant spirit he loved burning brightly, igniting hope within him. Jack nodded, his expression shifting to one of respect. All right then, let us forge a plan. The competitor isn't just vying for market share, they want to undermine what you've built. We need to present a united front. They gathered around the table, the dim kitchen light casting shadows as Jack laid out the details he had. He explained the competitor's actions and strategies, cold, calculated moves designed to weaken their hold. But instead of fear, Michael felt determination. This was a fight they could win. As they dove into the intricacies of the situation, Michael could see Sarah's eyes light up. It was the spark he had hoped for, the moment when she truly realized the potential of her dreams. Together, they crafted a response, galvanizing the pieces of her plans into a reality neither of them had thought possible just days before. Hours slipped by, but they were no longer racing against the clock. They were in sync, planning and strategizing as a team. Their fears faded, replaced by a deep trust that hadn't been there before. The shadows watching them began to retreat, and the light of possibility began to fill their hearts. I'm so glad we're in this together, Sarah said softly, a radiant smile lighting her face. I was so scared, but now I feel invincible. Michael grinned, heart swelling. I think that's our strength, supporting each other through all of it. He reached out and held her hand, feeling the warmth of her resolve melding with his own, but just as they were starting to breathe easier, the ping of Michael's phone broke the moment. A stillness fell over them as they read the new message from a familiar name. I know what you're planning. You will regret this. See. A chill ran down Michael's spine. This is real. They're watching us, he whispered, fear creeping back into the corners of their minds like an uninvited guest. No. We're not going to give in to fear, Sarah insisted, her voice steady but urgent. We've come too far. We need to show them we're stronger together. That's right, Michael said, igniting his courage. We confront this head on. We can't let them dictate our lives any longer. This can be our moment. The adrenaline surged as they made plans for the upcoming meeting, a chance to showcase Sarah's vision and execute their carefully crafted approach. The threat seemed larger than life, yet so were they. They spent the night honing their pitch and their approach, becoming more than just a couple. They were partners, champions of their combined dreams. As the sun rose, painting the sky in hues of gold, Michael and Sarah stood side by side. Are you ready? He asked, and he could see the confidence in her eyes, bright like the morning light. More than ever, she replied, determination woven through every syllable. The meeting unfolded within a hushed conference room, investors and industry experts gathered around a polished table. Sarah stood before them, the weight of every moment culminating into this one. As she presented her vision, her voice rang with clarity, passion, and purpose. She knew their dreams now had the power to transform not only their lives but the lives of others. Michael watched, pride swelling within him. The competitor's shadow loomed large, but Sarah shone brighter. The bond forged over sleepless nights and desperate dreams created a radiant force that no one could dim, and as Sarah concluded her brilliant pitch, a palpable tension filled the room until a single voice broke through. "I want to support you," one of the investors declared, leaving Sarah momentarily speechless. The ripple of agreement followed across the table, a wave of approval that swept Michael off his feet. In the days that followed, the changes began solidifying. Support poured in, Sarah's business blossoming beyond her wildest dreams. They had become the heartbeat of their community, reconnecting lost dreams with reality. Michael marveled at the transformation, not just in Sarah, but within himself. He had come to understand that true strength lies in vulnerability and connection. As they celebrated each small victory, they carved their path forward hand in hand. One evening, while surrounded by friends and family who believed in them wholeheartedly, Sarah turned to Michael. "We did this together. Every inch of this journey has been worth it." With tears brimmed in his eyes, Michael squeezed her hand. "And I wouldn't change a thing. I'm so proud of you." Just then, a little girl approached, holding a crayon drawing of a tree, petals blooming in the spring sunshine. "Look," she said, her bright smile illuminating the room, "this is you, and this is your dream." And in that moment, Michael realized how far they had come, a transformation that sprouted from courage, love, and unwavering hope. They were partners, champions, and now, they were free to reach for the stars without fear. As the laughter echoed around the room, Michael's heart swelled with happiness. They had fought the battle together, and against all odds, they emerged victorious. "Ready for whatever comes next?" Sarah asked. "As long as we're together," Michael replied with a grin. With a united front, they embraced the future. Every challenge ahead was simply another opportunity to blossom, just like the dreams now flourishing around them. The end was just the beginning. Now, if you loved this inspiring conclusion, you need to subscribe now to our channel to not miss the next exclusive stories. This is the moment to show your support. Leave a like to feed the algorithm and ensure more amazing tales reach you. Comment below with your reactions and feelings about this powerful journey, and share instantly with at least 5 friends who need to experience this beautiful transformation. Don't wait not even one more second. Make your voice heard and be part of this incredible community.